What is up guys, Delboy here. I wanted to do a video sharing my top 10 ranked light heavyweights. I've recently done a similar video for the heavyweight division. That is on my channel, so feel free to check that out. But let's dive right into the rankings. At number 10 we have the guy that you're seeing on your screen, Sven Thornling. Sven Thornling is from Sweden. He's 15-1. He's a solid technical boxer who is improving. He's coming off a career best win over former world title challenger Kara Murat, in which was a really exciting fight by the way, but he's coming off a career best win, he's coming off some good form, and he just about makes my top 10. I was debating putting Isaac Chilemba in his spot, but Chilemba's coming off a few losses. He's not put a good run of fights together, so he missed out, as did Kara Murat himself. At number 10 we have Sven Thornling. At number 9 we have Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr. has a 24-2 record. His best wins come over the likes of Bernard Hopkins. He retired Hopkins, and he also beat Andre Funfara. They are his best wins. He also picked up a loss to Sullivan Barrera, but Joe Smith Jr., he is what he is. He's limited, but he comes forward, he's game, and he can punch. He's got a fight coming up in March against Dmitri Belov. I think that's an okay fight. I will definitely watch it. Can he pose any real threat to a great boxer like Belov? I'm not so sure, but he'll certainly come to fight and he will give it a go. He's not coming to lie down, put it that way. And I have Joe Smith Jr. at number 9. At number 8 we have the man who beat Joe Smith Jr., Sullivan Barrera. Sullivan Barrera has a record of 22-2, Cuban boxer, 36 years old, really good, solid fundamentals, lovely jab, lovely straight right hand, good timing, solid punching power. He's a good all-round fighter. His best wins are over the likes of Joe Smith Jr., Shabransky, Kara Murat, Felix Valera. There's a bit more depth to Barrera's resume in comparison to Joe Smith Jr. And his only 2 defeats were against elite level fighters in Andre Ward and Dmitri Belov. I think he's done enough to belong in the top 10, and I also rate his skill set, so I have him at number 8. At number 7 we have American light heavyweight Marcus Browne. Marcus Browne is 22-0, he's undefeated. He's 28 years old, southpaw, quick hands, solid punching power. He's got an exciting style. He has been inconsistent in his performances so far, but at his best I believe he is a top 10 level talent. And I know his resume isn't the best. I mean, the best names on his resume are Cornelius White, Gabriel Campillo, Thomas Williams Jr., Sean Monahan. He also fought a guy called Kaladzic, who I felt beat Marcus Browne, but Marcus Browne has come on a long way since then. And I believe at his best, Marcus Browne could be a really good fighter. He's just so inconsistent. I know a lot of you out there will disagree with me on rating Marcus Browne so highly, and that's fair enough, it's just my opinion. But I do believe Marcus Browne is a good talent. He's actually fighting Badou Jack on the Manny Pacquiao versus Adrian Broner undercard, so he could go up or go down after that fight. We will see. That's a really good fight by the way. But yeah, Marcus Browne at number 7. At number 6 we have Sergey Kovalev. Some people may say I've rated him too low, but Kovalev is coming off a devastating knockout defeat to Aleksandar Alvarez. I mean, Kovalev was expected to win that fight. It was a bit of an upset. He's also lost twice recently to Andre Ward. I felt Kovalev was hard done by in both fights, but on paper he lost twice, and to me he's not looked the same since. He doesn't look like the same guy. He seems to have lost that mojo and that aura. So that's why I have Kovalev rated as number 6. Kovalev has got a fight coming up in February against Aleksandar Alvarez. That is a rematch. So to me that fight is vitally important for Kovalev. If he loses, he is probably done. Let's be honest about it. So that's a must win, and I'm really looking forward to that fight. Can Kovalev redeem himself, or is it the end of a road? Share your thoughts below. At number 5 we have Badou Jack. Badou Jack was a former super middleweight champion. He mixed it with the very best, beat Sullivan Barrera, beat George Groves, beat Anthony Durrell. He drew with James DeGale. I felt he won that fight. So he was a proven and elite level super middleweight. He then moved up to light heavyweight. He destroyed Nathan Cleverly and looked like $1 million. Nathan Cleverly at the time was probably a top 10 light heavyweight. And after the Cleverly fight, he fought Adonis Stevenson to a draw. A lot of people felt he beat Adonis Stevenson. I felt a draw was about right. But at the time, Adonis Stevenson was the lineal and WBC light heavyweight champion. So even a draw, it's not a disgraceful result. And based on Badou Jack's kind of body at work at super middleweights and light heavyweights, I have him rated at number 5. At number 4, we have Artur Beev. Artur Beev has a perfect 13-0 record. Every single fighter he's faced has been knocked out, and he's dealt with everybody put in front of him in pretty good fashion. His best wins to date are over the likes of Callum Johnson, Enrico Colling and Tavoris Cloud. Beterbiev doesn't have the strongest resume, but he does hold the IBF light heavyweight title, and I believe head to head he would beat more guys in the top 10 than he would lose to. 2019 has to be a big year for Beterbiev, and he's put himself in a good position. He left DAZN to join Top Rank and ESPN, and that means he has access to Aleksandar Alvarez and Aleksandar Vulcic. He's more likely to get these big fights. That's a good thing. Hopefully these fights come off in 2019, and then we'll see how good Beterbiev really is. But I have him rated at number 4. I think some people out there will have him rated lower, and I can understand why. His resume isn't the best, but I've got him at number 4. At number 3 we have Dmitri Belov. When it's all said and done, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dmitri Belov as the man in the division. I truly believe he has the ability to do so. I think he's a really skilled fighter. I really enjoy his fighting style, but as of right now he's not got the body of work to prove he's number 1. Nevertheless, he's got a few good names on the resume. He's got a good win over Sullivan Barrera, who's in my top 10. He also beat Isaac Chilemba, who is just outside my top 10, and he also has a victory over Jean Pascal. Jean Pascal was well past his best, so you can't really read too much into that fight, but if you combine Pascal, Chilemba and Barrera, if you watch those fights back to back to back, I don't think he lost a round in these fights, so that's quite impressive. He's beating everybody who has been put in front of him in good fashion, and I believe he has all the ability in the world to potentially become number 1 in this division. At number 3 we have the WBA light heavyweight champion Dmitri Belov. At number 2 I have the Colombian Aleksandar Alvarez. Aleksandar Alvarez has been about for quite some time, and I've always seen him as a well-rounded boxer. He's one of those fighters who is solid in every area, but you wouldn't say he's outstanding in any one area either. He's just a really well-rounded fighter. And fighters like that can go a long way, as we've seen with Badou Jack, who's also on this list. He's a good skilled fighter, and he's coming off a career best win over Sergey Kovalev. He beat Kovalev for the WBO light heavyweight title, and even before that Kovalev win, he's got a few good names on there. He beat Jean Pascal and Sullivan Barrera, who were past their best, but still good names. He also beat Isaac Chilemba, who's a good fighter. He beat Robert Berridge, who's okay. He beat Rhino Lindenberg, who's okay as well. You know, Alvarez has got a few good scalps, and he's got a really impressive win over Sergey Kovalev. And on top of that, he is the WBO light heavyweight champion, and he has a good skill set. I do rate him as a fighter, and I'm really looking forward to his rematch with Kovalev. I really enjoyed their first fight. If you've not seen it, I would recommend checking it out. Really good fight. And at number 1, we have the WBC and lineal light heavyweight champion, Aleksandar Vulcic. Now, Aleksandar Vulcic is a funny one. On the come up, I always rated his ability. I was very familiar with his amateur credentials, but I always got the feeling he was one of these fighters who would be a bit too fragile for the pro game, and the ability he showed in the amateurs wouldn't translate, but I got that wrong. He is coming off a career best win over Adonis Stevenson, and he done that in Canada away from home. He's also beaten good guys like Uniecki Gonzalez. He is the only man to stop Isaac Chilemba. He beat Tommy Karpency, who's a good club fighter. He beat Najib Mohammadi, former world title challenger. You know, Vulcic has a few good names on the resume. He's got a really good win over Stevenson, and he's got a lot of natural ability. He's got the amateur background. He has that WBC light heavyweight title along with the lineal title. Vulcic's win over Stevenson, to me, puts him at number 1. I don't think he's unbeatable. I think there are fighters in the division right now who could beat him, or at the very least give him a run for his money. But I give that win over Stevenson a lot of credence. I think it was a really good win, and I was really impressed with Vulcic that night. He really showed me a lot. He went up a level, and he did something I didn't expect him to do. Based on Vulcic's earlier career fights and the vulnerabilities he showed in these fights, I really didn't expect him to beat Stevenson, but he proved me wrong. He went up another level and he looked really, really good. And I think that is deserving of him being number 1 in the division. That's how I rank the light heavyweight division. Feel free to share your rankings below. I'm interested to see how you guys have it. Peace.